Hello everyone, DM Gashbad here, and after a bit of a delay as usual, we are back with our Warhammer Fantasy Battles Path to Glory campaign. For those of you who don't remember, and it has been a hot minute, Path to Glory was a Warhammer 6th edition expansion where rival groups of Chaos Warriors battled each other in the Chaos Wastes to gain the attention of the Dark Gods. It uses the normal Warhammer Fantasy Battles rules, except that all the models on foot are skirmishers. Army selection is also partially random, but you're going to have to go back to the beginning of the series to find out about all that. The campaign consists of 6 rounds. Each round, all the players in our group, and there are 4 of us, play each of the other players in one of the scenarios from the Path to Glory packet. This is round 3, which means that we're on to scenario 3. I'll get to that when we take a look at the table, but for right now, let's take a look at the warbands involved. First up is my warband, the Louts of Chaos. The Louts of Chaos are a bunch of boozy Khorne worshippers that so far in the campaign have not been doing great. My champion is Sir Osis of the Liver. The champion is the only one that gains experience and injuries. He's running around on a barded chaos steed named Horsey. He has chaos armor and a shield and a throwing axe. He's also equipped with the Axe of Khorne, which gives him killing blow. In fact, he has a bunch of Khorne accessories. He also has the Blessing of Khorne, which allows him to dispel a spell once per game, the Mark of Khorne, which gives him Frenzy, and he's also picked himself up an additional point of weapon skill, strength, and attacks. As for the rest of the warband, we've got the Booze Hound, a single Chaos Hound. We have 6 Marauders with hand weapon and shield. Those are the marinated meat shields. We have Scalding Blood Porridge, my Chaos Ogre with an additional hand weapon. Dunschlitz the Minotaur is equipped with a great weapon. We have 4 Chaos Marauders with additional hand weapons. Those are the Leg Biters. Harold Drownsodden is my Chosen with an additional hand weapon. And we've got 2 Chaos Warriors with hand weapon and shield, the Pitmen. On the other side of the table, we have a Nurgle warband. If you want to learn more about this warband, the owner of this also runs a YouTube channel. You can check him out at Traveling Dice. I'll leave a link in the show notes. I have trouble keeping track of exactly what the opposing champions have, but from memory, his Nurgle champion is pretty good. He also has a barded chaos steed, he's got a great weapon and a shield, he has Frenzy, he has a 5-up ward save, he has toughness 5, 3 wounds. I'm pretty sure he's picked up at least 1 extra attack. So a lot of offense, a lot of defense, he's good. The rest of his warband is a very small elite affair. He has a Chaos Sorcerer on fire magic with the Fireball spell. He has 5 Chaos Warriors, 4 of them have great weapons and 1 of them has a flail. There's a single Chaos Troll, a single Plague Bearer, and then a single Chaos Chosen, again with a flail. Here is our 4-foot by 4-foot table all set up and ready to go. The mission for this scenario is Breakthrough. One of our warbands is going to be an attacker and one of them is going to be the defender. We roll randomly and the Nurgle warband will be the attacker. That means that they choose a table edge set up first anywhere within 4 inches of that table edge. My guys then get to set up anywhere that they like so long as they are outside of 18 inches of their warband. You can win by forcing the other player to rout, wiping out their warband, etc. as usual. The attacker has an additional victory condition where if they get 1/3 of their models off the opposite table edge, then they win. In contrast to the last scenario, I think this one is pretty good. The sides are asymmetrical, but both of them have their advantages and disadvantages, and I think the results from this game day bore that out. We had a good mix of attackers and defenders winning their various games. Because the Nurgle warband is such a small warband and is also the attacker, they have decided to concentrate all of their force on the left-hand side of the table, try and punch through on that edge. As a strategy, I think it makes sense. Because he has 10 models in his warband, he would need to get 4 of them off the other table edge to achieve the victory conditions. I've got 17 models in my warband, so I'm actually starting to envelop his warband with mine. I put the Leg Biters on the far left in order to slow down those Chaos Warriors. I put the Chaos Hound and the Meat Shields over on the right as a bit of a flanking force. And the strength of my army is in the middle. The Ogre, the Minotaur, my champion, and the Chaos Warriors and the Chosen. Compared to his force, I have a fair amount of speed, so he may have some trouble protecting his more vulnerable units if he decides to advance. Per the scenario rules, the attacker gets the first turn, so he's gone with a fairly cautious advance. The Chosen and the Plague Bearer are hanging back. the Chaos Warriors have advanced a little bit and has been a bit more bold with the Troll and the Champion. It looks like he's trying to bait some charges from me, maybe hold them with his stronger forces and just stay a little bit out of range with his more vulnerable troops. I don't think the Chaos Warriors are particularly vulnerable, but they are his best shot at getting off the opposing table edge, so I think he wants to keep those safe. The Chaos Sorcerer has no reason to advance whatsoever, and so he hangs back and gets ready to cast a fireball. And when the magic phase rolls around, he's got all the power in the world to do it. He rolls a double 6, so he's got 12 dice. He can only use 6 of those, of course, but he spends them all on the max level fireball targeting my Minotaur. Fortunately, he doesn't roll Irresistible Force, so I go ahead and use Sir Osis's Blessing of Khorne to automatically dispel the spell. It's early in the game to use that, but I think I'm better off spending it as soon as possible. My guys are all packed in. I'd hate to take a bunch of panic tests at this stage. So that's it for Nurgle turn 1, over to the Louts of Chaos. My opponent has been pretty bold at sending the Troll and his Champion up forward, but then again his Champion just about beat my entire warband last game, so I can understand why he might not be too concerned. However, I've decided to play my Champion a little bit differently in this game. My Champion doesn't have as much raw combat potential or as much defense as the other champions, but the one thing that he does have is Killing Blow. And since my opponent has a great weapon, it means I'll get to strike first, and with my 4 attacks now, with my additional attack and my Frenzy that I picked up, I'm in with a shot of getting that 6 to wound that'll instantly kill him, which will really put me in the driver's seat for the rest of this game. So this is kind of an all or nothing charge. I'm going to send Sir Osis into the Nurgle Champion. I would like some backup to come along with me, either the Minotaur or the Ogre, so I declare a charge with both of them. The Minotaur makes the charge, which is just fine. He'll get to add that impact hit, and Scalding the Ogre just has to stumble forward a bit. I couldn't get all 3 of us in that combat anyway, so this works out. You'll notice my Champion isn't quite in contact with his. That's because that model sticks so far forward over his base that I just couldn't put him into contact, so he kind of just pushed him back a little bit. It's stuff like this that makes me think maybe this base increase that they're talking about for the old world isn't really going to be that big a deal, because even as it is, we have to abstract a bunch of stuff. The rest of my warband just makes a little advance, just looking to get into position to countercharge if they need to or exploit any breakthroughs possibly. The Booze Hound moves from the flank over to the center in case this combat goes really poorly and needs to divert that Chaos Champion. With no magic and no shooting, we're straight on to hand. Dunschlitz's impact hit doesn't cause any damage. Then because both of us are Chaos Champions, we have to declare and accept challenges, so a challenge it is. Sir Osis gets to strike first, and I think he has a higher weapon skill, so after the to hit rolls, the to wound rolls, my opponent's armor save of 4+ and his ward save of 5+, I still managed to put 2 wounds on him, which is pretty good, but I didn't roll that 6 to wound, so no Killing Blow. So with only 2 wounds of my own, I think I'm in a little bit of trouble here, but thankfully my opponent doesn't roll great. He still needs 4s to hit, and I still am left with a little bit of an armor save, so when all is said and done, I only take 1 wound. Our horses don't do anything to each other. And so while I didn't kill him in this first round, I did end up winning the combat by 3. 1 extra wound, 1 for charging, and 1 for charging down a hill. So the Nurgle Champion is looking at a 5 or less break test, and he fails it, and he rolls far enough to take him right off the board. Sir Osis has to pursue because he's frenzied, he doesn't manage to catch him. Dunschlitz also pursues, but because he's a Minotaur and he's feasting on blood or leftover body parts that the Nurgle Champion left behind, he only goes 1d6 forward, so he just stumbles forward a short distance like that. That didn't work out the way I expected, but I'm absolutely thrilled. After I didn't get that Killing Blow, I thought this guy was going to chop me down either this round or the next. But instead, he's lost his most powerful model. The Troll now has to test stupidity on his own leadership, and I've got a bunch of my guys inside of his lines. I'm feeling really good. So over to Nurgle for turn 2, and there's not much for them to do but to advance at this point, try and get as far forward before the Minotaur and Sir Osis can wheel around and come back again for another attack run. The Troll fails its stupidity and just ambles a bit forward. No one declares any charges. The Chaos Warriors advance at full speed. They have to get off the table edge, and they're not really looking at anything too terribly intimidating facing them. The Sorcerer just repositions and gets another Fireball ready. Over to the Magic phase, and he rolled Boxcars last round. He rolled Snake Eyes this round. He throws a level 1 Fireball at Dunschlitz the Minotaur. He He manages to cast it, I can't dispel it, but he fails to do any damage. Back to the louts, and I'm feeling confident, so I am going to try and push my advantage. Over on the left flank, the Legbiters and Scalding Bloodporge the Ogre are going to try and charge those Chaos Warriors. See if I can't thin down their numbers to the point where they can't win the game by crossing the table edge. Neither of them have far to go, but the Legbiters fail, and so Scalding goes in alone, which isn't great. I'm choosing to ignore that Chaos Troll. I'm hoping he just fails Stupidity for the rest of the game, and I don't gotta worry about him. I also have some problems over on the right. I declare a charge with the Chosen and the Meat Shields on that one Chaos Chosen advancing through the canyon. Unfortunately, I don't consider positioning carefully enough, and I realize after I've made the charges that only one of those two can actually fit into the front arc to fight the guy. I choose to go with Herald because my track record of pulling down Chaos Warriors with the Marauders is pretty poor. I also declared a charge against the Plague Bearer with my 2 Chaos Warriors on the hill. Unfortunately, they fail it. The Boozehound just hangs back looking for an opportunity to be useful, and Sir Osis and Dunschlitz position themselves to corner the Chaos Sorcerer. I really don't want this guy to slip out of my arc of sight. I want to run him down in the next round. Number 1, because I hate wizards and I just want to kill them. Number 2, because Khorne gets bonus favor points, the reward system for this game, for killing enemy wizards. The close combat phase doesn't go great. I think Scalding must have tripped on his way into those Chaos Warriors and just landed face first in front of them. His Strength 4 impact hit didn't wound, and his 4 Strength 4 attacks didn't pull down a single Chaos Warrior. In return, they take away all 3 of his wounds and he dies. The combat on the right doesn't go any better. Herald's 3 Strength 4 attacks can't kill off the Chaos Chosen, and his 2 Strength 6 attacks kill off Herald. The only good news from all this is that the Marauders and the Chaos Warriors and everybody nearby all pass their panic tests, and I'm still feeling pretty good about all this, but it is a setback. It means now all I have in front of those Chaos Warriors are my Marauders, who are not going to last long. Sure enough, Nurgle turn and those Chaos Warriors charge the Legbiters, who elect to flee. They see the writing on the wall here. If the Ogre can't bring them down, what chance do they have? The Chaos Troll fails Stupidity again, and so just ambles along. And on the right, the Chosen and the Plague Bearer charge the Meat Shields. The Chaos Sorcerer backs into the corner there. That at least gets him out of the arc of sight of Dunschlitz. And he gets a real nice magic phase again with another double 6. This time he throws a giant fireball at Dunschlitz. Fortunately, just causes the 2 wounds, so Dunschlitz is still alive. I was definitely okay with him targeting Dunschlitz. With only 1 wound remaining on my Chaos Champion, I was really worried he was going to target Sir Osis, and I was going to fail that 2+ armor save and die. That would have kept the Chaos Sorcerer safe, and I would have had a big problem without my champion. If Dunschlitz had died, that would have been a shame. I would like to have him actually survive a game for once. But the nice thing about Sir Osis being frenzied at this stage is that I know at least that if Dunschlitz had died, I wouldn't panic off the table. Over to the close combat phase, and I believe the Marinated Meat Shields fail their fear test. The Chaos Chosen kills off one of my Marauders with his attacks, and now because of that fear, I'm hitting the Chaos Warrior on 5s and the Plague Bearer on 6s because of his Cloud of Flies rule. So I put 3 attacks into the Chaos Chosen, 2 attacks into the Plague Bearer. None of them end up with any wounds. The Plague Bearer, however, also fails to take down another Marauder. I'm down by 2, I fail my break test, I take off, but again I get away. My guys might not be hitting too hard this game, but at least we haven't skipped leg day. So it's Louts turn 3, and this is something I've been looking forward to. Sir Osis completes a charge into the Chaos Sorcerer. That should be it for this guy. With only 1 wound remaining, I'd rather keep Dunschlitz safe for the time being, but he fails his frenzy test. Once a Minotaur has won a round of combat, they become frenzied, so he has to go and charge into the rear of the Troll. I would rather have ignored that Troll. I think the Troll is going to kill Dunschlitz in the close combat phase, but I think I have more of a chance against him than I do against those Chaos Warriors. For their part, the Marinated Meat Shields keep running, but the Legbiters rally. My Pitmen Chaos Warriors move up onto the hill looking to help out against that Plague Bearer and the Chaos Chosen, and my Boozehound just wanders around looking for an opportunity to be a good boy. In close combat, Sir Osis does what Sir Osis is meant to do, and he kills the enemy wizard. Because of frenzy, he has to overrun off the table edge, but that's okay. He has been having a good game. On the left, I luck out though. The Troll and the Minotaur both strike at the same time. Minotaur's got a great weapon, Troll has initiative of 1, and the Troll misses Dunchlitz. No damage caused. That was pretty lucky. Dunchlitz is frenzied now, and with 4 attacks, a higher weapon skill, and a strength of 7, manages to plant 2 wounds on the Troll. The Troll needs Snake Eyes to stay, unsurprisingly fails, but he does get away again because Dunchlitz is busy eating the severed limbs that the Troll left behind. So it was another pretty good round for the Louts of Chaos, but I still need to do something about that big Chaos Warrior regiment if I actually want to win, and all my heavy hitters are injured now. In the Nurgle turn, the Plaguebearer charges the Marinated Meat Shields, who are forced to flee again, and they flee through some impassable terrain on the right-hand side of the board, and I fail 3 of my dangerous terrain tests, and 3 of those guys are so terrified they just splatter themselves against the rocks, sort of Wile E. Coyote style. The Chaos Warriors on the left go for a charge on the Leg Biters. They need a double 6 to make it, but if they do, they're in a good position to surge forward and maybe off the table edge. I have seen this opponent make a double 6 charge in the past, so I'm happy when it doesn't come up this time. In more good news, the Troll fails to rally and so continues to flee. He actually flees through the Leg Biters, takes a dangerous terrain test, passes it, doesn't get killed on their swords as he moves through. We just politely step out of the way. And his chosen warrior banks right, heading for the table edge and getting out of the arc of sight of the pitmen. Back to the Louts, I have a bunch of charges to go over, but might as well mention this first. The Meat Shields fail to rally, they move through more impassable terrain, although thankfully none of them die on it this time. I got the sure-footed ones that are left as survivors. My Booze Hound has finally found his moment and declares a charge against the fleeing Troll. The Troll is forced to flee again and doesn't get away, doesn't roll far enough, and so the Hound pulls him down. Who's a good boy? Actually did something offensively. Nice job, Chaos Hound. The Pitmen Chaos Warriors charge the Plaguebearer in the rear. That should go okay. And Dunchlitz the Minotaur again fails Frenzy and is forced to charge the Chaos Warriors. The thing is, because they're skirmishers, he could see them when he declared the charge, but once he declares it, they all pack into a normal formation, and that movement, as sometimes happens with skirmishers, now meant that they were outside of Dunchlitz's front arc, and so he actually couldn't complete the charge. I know some people, like my opponent, really hate the way this works, and it does feel weird, but in this case, I'm absolutely fine with it. I do not need Dunchlitz going in and impaling himself on those great weapons right now. In further moves, Sir Osis returns to the table and goes at full speed to help out against those Chaos Warriors, and off camera the Leg Biters just shuffle right a little bit. So just one hand-to-hand combat this round, the Pitman completely failed to put a wound through on the Plaguebearer, who in return also fails to deal any damage to the Pitmen. I would have preferred to have just lopped the Plaguebearer's head off, but I do win the combat by 3. The Plaguebearer has to make an instability test on Leadership 5, fails, and so then dissolves back into the warp. Pleased with their technical victory, the Pitmen reform to face the Chosen. Back to the Nurgle Warriors, and I gotta tell you, after the champion died round 1, I was really hoping that this game would have been wrapped up by now. But these Nurgle Warriors are just inexorably stomping forward. Speaking of the Warriors, they charge the Leg Biters, who elect to flee. That actually brings them in the line of sight of the Chaos Chosen, who also declares a charge. The Leg Biters flee again. They stay on the table, but they're getting a real good workout today. They do stay safe. None of the Chaos Warriors or the Chaos Chosen complete their charge, so I guess they're kind of doing their job. Back to my turn, the remainder of the Marinated Meat Shields finally rally, but the Leg Biters fail and run off the table. The Pitmen successfully charge the Chaos Chosen in the rear, and Dunchlitz finally gets himself under control. He passes his frenzy check, and so just lines up with Sir Osis, ready for a charge next round. So the reason I don't want to charge with Dunchlitz is because of the Chaos Warrior with the flail. I think it's very likely that Dunchlitz would charge in, maybe he could kill a guy with his impact hits, but then the guy with the flail will kill him off, and so he doesn't get to swing that great weapon. The thing is, the Chaos Warrior with the flail is in the middle of the front rank, so if I had charged the rear of that Chaos Warrior unit, he wouldn't have gotten to attack. Dunchlitz still would have certainly died to the return attacks from the other Chaos Warriors with the great weapons, but he would have gotten to swing with his own great weapon, and he's up to 5 attacks right now because he won another round of combat against the Troll, so it probably would have been worth it. Still, this is what we're doing, maybe it'll be okay. The Booze Hound backs off and faces the Chaos Warriors. Combat phase, Chaos Chosen and Chaos Warriors both have the same initiative, so the Pitmen make their attacks and they fail. 4 more Strength 4 attacks, and they don't get any damage through. In return, the Chaos Chosen is able to bring down one of the Pitmen. The Chosen is still down by 2, which means that he's looking at a 6 or less break test, but he passes. Doesn't manage to pass a second leadership test in order to reform, though. Back to Nurgle, and those Chaos Warriors are still moving towards that table edge, and I'm not sure if I can stop them. I thought this game was in the bag, but I may end up losing. They passed their March test, so they just skip straight forward away from Dunchlitz and Sir Osis, and because they're skirmishers, they can reshuffle themselves however they want, and so now they're facing my guys. May have missed my opportunity there. Things don't get any better in the hand-to-hand combat phase, where the Pitman again fails to bring down this Chaos Chosen and is cut down in return. My opponent's been having some bad luck. The Troll didn't do well. I think he was disappointed his Chaos Champion didn't perform a little bit better. But I've been complaining too, and at the end of the game I thought maybe I didn't have any reason to, but I went and counted it up, and I've thrown 17 Strength 4 attacks this game at Toughness 4 models, including an extra Strength 4 impact hit, and none of them caused any damage. Even if I win this game, my opponent will have killed far more of my guys than I will of his. So I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this, but it's now or never if I'm going to stop those Chaos Warriors. I let Sir Osis and Dunchlitz off the leash, and they both declare and complete charges into the Chaos Warriors. Both of them are really hurt, but at this stage, they're what I have left if I'm going to knock these guys down. I also throw in the Booze Hound. He gives me a flank attack, and it's one more thing my opponent may have to direct an attack into. And if one thing is left alive, I might end up winning the combat and running these guys down, which would give me the win. Probably. There's still the Chosen wandering around. The Marinated Meat Shields are just hanging out on the right-hand side of the board. They feel no need to go get involved in any of this stuff, so it's right on to hand-to-hand combat. And good news strikes. The Chaos Warriors fail their fear test because Dunchlitz causes fear. I think that's going to help out a lot. Sir Osis goes first and hacks down 2 of the Chaos Warriors, which is an okay start. And then it's time for the Flail Marauder to strike, and he targets Sir Osis. Unfortunately, he rolls double 4s and so just barely misses Sir Osis. If it weren't for that failed fear test, I think Sir Osis would have been dead. Horsey the Chaos Steed doesn't manage to add to the casualty pile, but the Booze Hound, just having a fantastic game, rips out a Chaos Warrior's throat. And then it's down to the Great Weapons. There's 2 Great Weapon Chaos Warriors remaining, and of course Dunchlitz. And everybody slaughters everybody. Dunchlitz kills off the last of the Chaos Warriors. The Chaos Warriors pull down Dunchlitz. I will take it. Sir Osis has to overrun. The Hound is fine where he is, but certainly this is the end of the game, right? My opponent couldn't possibly still be going after this. Nope, Nurgle is hanging in there. He takes his next turn, and that champion starts marching towards my meat shields. This is not actually insane. The meat shields and the Booze Hound actually pose very little threat to the Chaos Chosen. I do still have Sir Osis, but he's on 1 wound. If I flub my to-hit rolls, yeah, this one Chosen could kill off the rest of my army. So on my turn, the Booze Hound goes to help Sir Osis chase down this last enemy model. The meat shields just hide. Like a true Chosen of Chaos, in the Nurgle turn, the Chaos Chosen goes and stands right in front of Sir Osis, taunting him and daring him to charge. I don't think he can even hear what he's saying. Sir Osis goes in with the charge, while the Booze Hound and the meat shields close in to support if they need to. It's an elite Chaos Warrior against a blood-stained avatar of Khorne. Can the Chosen pull out a victory in this case? No, he can't. Sir Osis runs him right over, giving the Louts of Chaos a very nice victory in the first game of round 3. So counting up the rewards, the Louts of Chaos get a real nice haul with 10 favor points. 2 for playing the game, 2 for winning, 2 for taking out the opposing champion, 2 for killing off a sorcerer, and 2 for completely wiping out the warband. In return, the Nurgle warband gets 4 points, 2 for playing the game and 2 for bringing down a model with 3 or more wounds. The real good news comes in the casualty phase, for me at least, because all of my guys live. I don't roll a single one. So that's great, because I had lost a lot of people in this game. On the other side of the table, tragedy strikes. My opponent rolls a 1 on the injury table for his Chaos Sorcerer. No big deal, he spends a favor point and gets to re-roll it and rolls another 1. The Chaos Sorcerer is dead. This is a crippling blow to this small warband. I think the next few games are going to be a real struggle. But in true Louts fashion, there's no time for sorrows when there's celebrating to do. We get another reason to celebrate because Sir Osis has gained enough favor points that he gets another advancement roll. He rolls up a mutation and rolls Spell Greed, which is not a great mutation, so I spend a favor point and modify that down to Deafening Bellow. Now when he charges, he yells so loud that opponents are -1 to hit him. As far as advancements go, it's only okay, but it absolutely sounds like something a loud, angry, drunken Khorne worshipper would have. So that's all for now. Game 2 should follow soon. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, observations, or concerns, and I will see you on the next one.